I am so excited for today's video because I can finally tell you that I was successful in getting an AP job, finally! I went to my second interview ever and then they offered me the position and I am beyond excited to start, and I thought I would make a video on the second interview with, again, the questions that they asked, the feedback they gave me, and then sort of the next steps that happened, because I thought there's not a lot on the topic yet. Don't really know what happens once you get the offer. So in this video, as I said, I will mention the background information for this specific interview, I will mention the questions I was asked and then the answers I gave, and then I will mention the feedback I got and then the next steps. If you're interested in any of this information, then keep on watching. So section 1 is the background information. After my last interview where I was rejected and put on the reserve list, I was feeling so down. The lady told me that I shouldn't give up and keep applying, that I would get the next one, etc. So I was filled with knowledge, I knew exactly what I was meant to work on, it was to expand more in my answers. So I thought to myself, I'll apply to the next jobs that pop up and then hopefully get interviews. But there were none. No jobs for 2 months. I just thought it was too late for me and that I missed my chance. But 2 more jobs popped up in a week and then I applied for both of them. One of them rejected me and then the other one gave me an interview. So I was really happy. Only problem was I only had 2 full days to prepare for that interview, as opposed to like the 2 weeks I had to prepare for my first interview. So I was very stressed. I knew I had to make this time count and I had to focus on specific aspects of interview prep. I made a whole video on that if you want to check it out. I still had pretty good notes from my last interview prep and I was motivated. I had those 2 free days, so I just studied hard. I chose the second slot, so it would be 9:45 a.m. Got the link to do it online. Information about the post, that one is a bit particular. It's part-time and it's only temporary for 6 months. It is quite far away, so it's not the city where I'm from at all, but it is remote for the most part. Just like every now and then I will have to go up there to check in with my supervisor and to check in on the project. Basically, I'm hired to create an online psychoeducation package for people living with diabetes. So about 30,000 people are concerned, making videos actually and just online psychoeducation materials that is just going to be available on the NHS websites for them. So it's more of a project than a regular job. There's so much to learn. It's an amazing opportunity, and then there's opportunities for clinical group work or clinical one-to-one work, so I will learn more about that as I'm doing the job. So it is a bit different than usual, but it is right up my alley. I love doing that kind of work, so I'm excited. I will be working with a health psychologist and a clinical psychologist, which is great because I'm also going to be doing a master's in clinical and health psychology. So it seems like my path is already shaping up. So the actual interview, there were going to be 2 people, the health and the clinical psychologist. It lasted for 30 minutes and they asked me 4 questions. And again, they let me know all of that before it started, just so I knew what to expect. I went there with one goal in mind, and that was stay reflective and expand more and give more examples, even towards the end of the interview where I was getting tired. That was my main goal because that was the main piece of feedback I got from last time. So in this section, part 2, I will let you know the questions I was asked and then also the way that I answered them. Question 1. Tell us what you know about diabetes and how it relates to mental health. I was really excited to get this question because I had done so much research and it was my time to shine. I was mindful of answering the question, so I first started talking about diabetes in general and then how it related to mental health. I mentioned my sources, where I got my information. I tried to give an answer that was sort of structured by themes. I was trying not to ramble or repeat myself. I was trying to keep it to current events as well, so like sort of the current challenges of the NHS with diabetes, what diabetes meant for people with it and the daily struggles that they would experience, the common mental health issues, specific mental health issues for people with diabetes. I think I gave the best answer out of all 4. That was that one. It was really about demonstrating that I had done my research and I knew what I was talking about, and I was excited to work with that. They did ask me a probing question at one point. I mentioned the fact that diabetes was a self-managing condition, but I didn't really expand much on that. And then at the end of my answer, one of the psychologists asked me, so you mentioned the self-managing condition, can you tell us a bit more about that? Which was great because actually I had way much more to talk about that specific aspect. I had more information on that. I just kind of forgot to expand. And so the fact that she asked me to expand on that gave me a chance to talk about all of what I had learned. So I was really grateful for that. And it really shows that they want to get the best out of you. They're not here to fail you. They want to hire you. If they ask a question, that means that there's an answer you're almost giving but not quite, and they're giving you a chance to give it, so don't panic. Second question, what skills do you have that would be relevant for this position? I was actually asked that in my previous interview as well. I could sort of recycle the answer I had used last time, but obviously tailoring it to this one. But I kind of knew what structure I wanted to give my answer. I sort of divided the skills into two parts, the clinical skills and the research skills, as broad categories, to try and keep it organized, and then giving examples. I also mentioned video editing, which I mentioned I learned as a hobby this quarantine, and then I was trying to expand on that quite a lot, talking about what I've learned through my journey of being self-taught. And then actually the third question was, can you tell us more about your IT skills, specifically video editing? So again, mindful of answering their actual question, I talked about my IT skills in general first. So I talked about using Microsoft Office, Teams, databases, Excel, SPSS, being flexible. I mentioned I used to volunteer for reception at a counseling agency, so then I had to learn on the spot, like all the databases and specifics of that system. But then again, I would be flexible to relearn a new system somewhere else. I hope that makes sense. I was more eloquent in the interview. And then after I got that out of the way, I talked about the editing skills again in more depth. I talked about what I thought was a good video. So I mentioned, for example, the fact that it's not about making it as fancy as possible. The goal is to convey information to an audience. So you have to think about the audience and then the information and the delivery style, etc., etc. So I think I went into enough depth for that. And I mentioned that I was again flexible with the software to video edit. And then the last question, it went so fast, was what are the main challenges you expect from this position and what can we do to help with that? So I was kind of surprised with the second part of the question, but I answered the question saying that I was expecting to have a lot of work and to be very independent, but I could use that as an opportunity to do my best, and it would be a challenge, but then I could come off in a better way at the end of it, trying to turn that into a positive. And I mentioned that so far the psychologist had been so approachable and nice and warm and welcoming and everything, and then I just think that this is a good quality for a supervisor to have, and that if they kept being that way, then I wouldn't be afraid of asking questions, which is ultimately better for everyone involved if we ask questions early, while also keeping in mind that their time is as valuable as ours, and that we shouldn't ask questions that we can get an answer easily if we just did a bit of research on our own. So I hope that makes sense. Again, it's been 2 weeks, but that was what I answered. So I think that was the question that I answered the worst to, because I think I wasn't really expecting it, but there we go, that's what I was asked. Once that was over, I asked a couple questions about the role, and then they told me that they would let me know by the end of the week, and that was a Wednesday. But in my mind, I was like sort of expecting to hear back within 7 days because that's my past experience. And then we hung up. Part 3, the feedback I got, as well as the next steps. I cannot tell you my surprise when I got a call the next morning at 9:30 a.m. from a number that I didn't know, but the city was on my phone and it was the city of the interview. So then I was like, oh, that must be them. And then, yeah, they tell me that they're delighted to offer me the role and that they were really impressed with the research I had done on the matter, that I seemed to know exactly what I was talking about, and then that I had exactly the skills they were looking for. So I think the two selling points of that successful interviews were that I had done a lot of prep and I had done the right preparation, and then that I had matching skills, so I would do the job to the correct standards. Yeah. I didn't get any other feedback because I was successful. Maybe I could have asked more. I may ask once I start the role and I get to know my supervisor more. So as a little sidebar, I will now talk you through the steps after you get that positive phone call. So first thing you have to do is to accept the position. So I gave sort of a verbal acknowledgement, yes, I would like to take up the offer. And then after that, they send me a written email acknowledging that I accepted the offer, but it is a conditional offer. Then they let me know which document I need to send over. So for example, I needed to send my proof of address, of identity, PVG number. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Then I had to also do a criminal checks on their website, and then I had to go through an occupational health service screening questionnaire, and then they had to check my references. So those are all the steps, and it can take a while. Apparently it takes up to 6 weeks actually. So far it's been 2 weeks. I'm almost done, I'm assuming. And then once that's over, they're gonna give me an unconditional offer, which I can again accept, and I get an induction date, which I must attend, and then a real start date. Then you get all the handbooks, staff materials, hours, etc, etc. So it can take a while, and it takes some back and forth. So I had to communicate with the manager quite a lot, with the HR as well. There's always going to be issues, it seems, but it's fine. You just have to jump through the hoops. But the hardest part is behind you and done with. So that's about it for today's video. I hope that was helpful. I hope it helped you prepare for your interviews. I hope you get interviews. Before I finish, I just wanted to talk about one thing. It was really discouraging for me last time when I didn't get the job. I was really sad. I thought I had missed my only chance. That's really how it felt. It felt like I had been given a chance of interview, didn't get it, got on the reserve list, and I thought that was the closest I would ever become, and I would just never quite reach it. So it was a toll. But everyone around me, including the interviewer, told me not to give up and that it's just a matter of time. And I think that's the most important thing when you're looking for that kind of job, is to just not give up and build resilience and just think of all the positive aspects of your journey and not just focus on the negatives, like the rejections. I was less stressed for that interview because it was my second interview. There's no reason why I couldn't get a third or a fourth if I wasn't successful. It seemed less of my only chance, so the stakes were a bit lower. I had gone through the process of one interview before, so it was less scary and I knew more what to expect. So I hope those videos are helpful for you because they can hopefully make you more aware of what the process will be, so it's less scary. Because I think what's really just important is to just let the nerves leave your body. Do not stress. Be natural, be yourself, be excited, show your personality and everything, and just have a conversation with them. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, give it a like or a comment. If you have any requests, you can leave them as well, or a question, I'll try to answer them. If you like the content of my channel, please subscribe and we can all become one happy family, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you!